So, try to kind of engage a little bit today some of these elements that are completely complementary to meditation practice. I would say that are integral to a kind of full spectrum Dharma practice. So, bowing first. And when I come in, I turn to the shrine, make a bow, and turn and make a bow. When you see me, I don't know what you do when you see me bow to the shrine because I'm facing this way. Right? When I turn around and bow to you, usually some people will bow, some won't. Some will look like some will half, they'll sort of go to bow but they feel a bit self-conscious. You know? Some look like they want to bow but don't know if they really should. Some look like they don't want to bow but feel as if they maybe should, etc. And I think, it's understandable, especially if there's something unfamiliar about it, but it's interesting, okay, what are the thought processes behind feeling self-conscious or uncomfortable around bowing? That gesture, right, this gesture is pretty universally, interestingly enough, this gesture is a gesture of greeting, of respect, of gratitude. And it's a prayerful gesture, right? We put our hands together, make that kind of incline our heads as a way to greet somebody, or as a way to say thank you, or as a way to show respect, appreciation, etc. And that's really what's going on, right? If I come in and I bow to the shrine, oh, hello, Buddha. It's like it's greeting. It's a respectful gesture to the shrine that kind of represents the vast, the sacred, the mysterious, the fulfillment and possibility of this practice, the historical lineage, right, through which we all find ourselves here. So it's kind of gratitude, that sense of bowing to the shrine, sense of bowing to all my own teachers, bowing to the lineage. And then I turn around, and it's the same bow. Oh, same. You come and face the shrine, bow to the Buddha, and then turn around. Oh, all these Buddhas here, and bow to you. And the fact that it's, for me, there's something in that sort of the fact that the bow is in both directions is important. That we're bowing to the same principle, right, in both directions. When one's in a culture which is more familiar with bowing, Asian monasteries, for example, pretty much everyone bows all the time. And there's something rather beautiful. One gives oneself to that form, the way this starts to feel like, and maybe it feels a little awkward at first if we're not used to it, but the way it starts to feel like, a gesture of gratitude, gesture of respect, gesture of acknowledgement. Feels like something gracious, feels like something heartfelt. So, I don't have any view about whether you should or shouldn't bow to the shrine, or to me being the one in this role, etc. But I think it's worth interesting if one's reluctant to bow, and I totally get why one might be. Oh, what's behind that? Is it just unfamiliarity with it? Or is it, as I say, sometimes I think people want to, they're kind of, there's that movement where we feel like, what am I bowing to? There's a sort of, sometimes it's passed off in our culture as a great mark of a kind of independence, the idea that I bow to no one. I bow to no one. I'm so self-actualized that I bow to nobody. Oh dear, what a terrible thing. I'd rather say I bow to everything. I bow to everything. It's not because of any idea of the right or wrong in that, but it's a lonely life. If I bow to nobody, if I can't kind of make that just offering of attention, gratitude, respect, acknowledgement. And the truth is, there's something very beautiful about bowing. And of course, I'm not meaning the physical act of inclining oneself forward. I'm really meaning that more inner gesture, right? Of a sense of an inner bow, an acknowledgement. So we've sometimes been, we may have that element in our own education, that maybe we were brought up in some way to some version of to not bow to anyone, to not, and the idea that you've got to sort of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't know never quite understood that expression, but that kind of thing, right? That's one of the motifs that runs through our culture. You've got to, make your own way, and you've got to believe in yourself, and you've got to, do that to get through life. Don't bow to anyone along the way. We're familiar with that cultural trope, and we can see elements, we can see various public figures, that seem to steamroller their way through life. And that's held up as a kind of, it's given quite a lot of cultural cachet. It's held up as an almost heroic kind of thing to do. It's a kind of, it's got a lot of machismo to it. It's a not just male, but a kind of macho. It's a sort of inflated chest kind of way through life. So, I'm exaggerating that, but maybe there's that, if there's some reluctance, to represent that sense of kind of bowing to the Buddha, let's say, bowing to a shrine, bowing to anyone, bowing as a gesture of a heartfelt gesture of respect, gratitude, greeting. Is there some reluctance in that direction? Another thing that can happen, I think, in the bowing in this kind of context, in a hall like this, one feels, everyone has some sincere relationship to the practice, but maybe just not familiar, and partly one wants to bow. One can feel there's this love of meditation and this love of the benefits that I've felt through practice. And part of me wants to I come in and I see the Buddha and I want to bow, but I feel a bit self-conscious, or I feel illegitimate in some way. I feel like I don't know enough about the tradition to bow, or I feel like I might be bowing a bit wrong. Right? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to bow with my hands here or here or here, or even here. Is here okay? Etc. Right? And you might find elements of that, to which I would, the encouragement would be to trust the heart that wants to bow, and not worry about the details. In some places there are correct ways to bow, right? If you're in a Thai temple, there is a correct way to bow. And if you're in a Tibetan temple, there's a different correct way to bow. And if you're in a Zen temple, there's a different correct way to bow. But nobody will really worry. Nobody will tell you off for getting it wrong. And if you don't look Thai or Tibetan or Japanese or Korean, nobody will expect why there's any reason why. In fact, even if you do look in like any of those things, nobody will expect that you ought to know those things. They'll mostly just be delighted that you're bowing. So I would say just that don't let the sense or the fear of legitimacy or the fear of illegitimacy get in the way of that. Like if you've been, maybe a lot of people go to Thailand on holiday. If you go to Thailand and you make the why, it's different to make a bow like that, or like that, or like that, or like that. And depending on the rank or social status of the person you're greeting, then the higher the rank of the person, the higher up the hands go when you bow, But again, nobody, doesn't matter, right? I mean, if you care enough to learn, and you can get a sense of that, okay, but you'll still get it wrong because you just don't, just can't be attuned to all those little social mores, right? But but it's like trusting that there's something beautiful in the gesture. If you feel that there is, if you feel that sense of wanting to bow, 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 bow. Make a little shrine at home, bow. I'm just curious, just to a sense of how many of you have some kind of shrine at home that is part of your practice and where you meditate? Oh yeah, good. It seems like roughly half. So if you don't, and again, I don't want to find myself in the role of trying to kind of promote some sort of orthodox Buddhist approach to things, right? So I'm not really asking you to justify if you don't, but I just the internal curiosity, why not? And it may be I feel absolutely no need for one. My shrine is the whole universe. My shrine is the spot I sit in. When I sit down to meditate, I make an inner bow to the entire cosmos. I have no need for a shrine. Well, fantastic. I bow to that. It's certainly, certainly not necessary in that sense. But my question to you would be, just for your own reflection, might you be depriving yourself of something beautiful? Might you be depriving yourself of something heartfelt? Might you be depriving yourself of something that has a kind of a whisper of the sacred? And it might not feel the day that you kind of, balance something on something else and put a cloth over it, like this, and set up, whatever you've got that feels like it might make do for an image of the sacred. And you sit down and you light a candle and you make a little bow and it all feels a bit clumsy, and maybe it doesn't whisper of the sacred the first time. But as I say, repetition is potent. And it would certainly be my encouragement to experiment with that which brings alive some sense, that to which you can bow. What does bowing mean in that sense? It's kind of, there's a quality, right? Not just of gratitude and respect, but it's like the offering of a bow, making an offering. It's the other thing that altars, right, are used for, making an offering of those things that represent the elements, like we were saying earlier. The offering of a stick of incense, the offering of a candle, the offering of the sincerity of your practice. Right? The offering of all your dramas, the offering of all your confusions, the offering of all your heartaches. Oh, maybe you can offer all those to the shrine. In that sense, right, of offering, that which is symbolic of the vast, the mysterious, boundless, that which has room. So you can sit down and just offer, all my confusions, all my neuroses, all my arrogance, all my pettiness, all my judgments. Just offer them and let them, they can drift off in the incense smoke. And that can be a very powerful way to just kind of relieve the heart, because it's hard to hold it all. I've got to sit here and meditate, and otherwise it's just me and my dramas, me and my neuroses, me and my problems, me and my difficult mind, me and my distractions. It's very, very, very hard. It's very, very hard to deepen and widen and broaden a practice if you have the sense that you're the one doing it all. So that's another thing that a shrine is a kind of symbol of. You don't have to do it all. A sense of making an offering of your practice, which ties into what I was saying this morning, right? About, what am I getting from my practice? Or, how can I make an offering of my practice? And you might find that there's many ways to make an offering. There are many ways to see our practice as an offering. And it might just be in conversations we have with strangers. Some people that stop us in the street, right? At first we don't know what to say, and then we want to attune to them a little bit. We want to kind of meet their humanity, and then it's like, oh yeah, I know something about presence. I know something about listening. I know something about kindness. And I can't fix everything for this person in front of me, but I can make of myself an offering in this moment, or I can make of my care an offering, even if it's just a momentary offering to somebody. And that sense of, just walking around the path, making an offering of one's attention, an offering of one's appreciation, offering of one's gratitude, an offering of one's remembrance. Just walking around the path, it's a very, very beautiful park. I love how minimally maintained it is, and how much long grass there is, and how wonky some of the tombstones are. And so in some ways, some of those tombstones seem like they might be unremembered in some way. And yet, when you walk past, you can make an offering of your remembrance. Without knowing how it might land, or where it might land, or if it might land, but as we said earlier, it doesn't matter. So I just offered these reflections on bowing and reflections on offering as another sort of dimension, or another adjunct, another wing of our meditative practices. And just to see what ways those might be a helpful adjunct, a heartfelt adjunct, a heart-soothing adjunct.